Hey guys, I've been watching a ton of TV as of late, and the thing that I think has stuck with me the most is the Penguin. I think the Penguin is one of the best comic book TV shows, like adaptations, that I've seen in a while and maybe ever. And I specifically wanted to talk about the last episode, which I believe was episode 8. So if you haven't caught up to what episode 8 is, I guess you shouldn't watch this. But it's something that I mentioned on stream. But I wanted to, I think, really dive into it and make a dedicated video here. And it's the idea that villains can be villains again. And I don't mean in like the macro sense that, you know, we haven't had real evil villains in the past, or even now contemporarily. But I think what I'm talking about is that there's been this thing where if a villain was the main character, they either have to be completely absurdly evil, like nonsensically, almost like primordially evil, with no ability to be related to, no real nuance or complexity, or they have to be completely redeemed, right? So something that I'm looking at, or at least thinking of, is like Maleficent, for example, or like Cruella. There's probably tons of other examples. It's the idea that Hollywood, I think, in large part, believes that if a main character is supposed to be at the center of a story, they have to be likable all the way through the story, even through the finish line to the end, right? Or if you're going to have a main character turn evil, they have to be unambiguously evil, and they have to face some other character who is unambiguously good. You might recognize this from like Game of Thrones. Like, Daenerys at the end of Game of Thrones was not like evil in a nuanced way. She was just a dictator who killed like 1 million people. And Jon Snow had to be the unambiguously good guy who went in there and cried and wept as he killed her. And not that stories like that don't have appeal in their own right, but I think there is something really cool about a story made for us to just plain dislike the main character, where we can go, oh, that person sucks, and I really like that he sucks, right? Like, and that's what the end of the Penguin really was to me. It was this, and I'm going to make a much bigger video about this on the main channel, but it was effectively the show getting us accustomed to feeling that Oz Cobb was good and that he was doing good things for other people, only for the show at the very end to twist everything it had shown us and show and really demonstrate that Oz is not our friend. He's not a good guy. He's not an anti-hero. He's not even a hero whatsoever. He's just a villain. And you are not supposed to like him. You are not supposed to sympathize with him. Almost from like the get-go, he was bad, and it was our lack of knowledge about him that allowed us to think that he was good. But he's not just evil. He's so complex in a way that so many other villains, who are also main characters, end up not being, right? And obviously, you know, the easy pickings would be like Walter White from like Breaking Bad, who's also an incredibly complex but like really, really bad dude. But I think with Walter, the difference here, and the thing that I love Oz so much for, is that Walter does end up essentially kind of earning back some goodwill with the audience, and maybe just like morality at large, from trying to repent for what he has done at the end of his narrative. And he's on an upward swing, you know, when it comes to his morals and what he's willing to be accountable for. At the end of the Penguin, Oz is not doing that. Oz is very, very certain in his actions, and he is going down, like as bad as you could possibly think. And I think that's super cool. I think the confidence to give us a main character that is despicable, that doesn't get what's coming to him, that deceives us all the way through, without there needing to be some type of like rehabilitation or making him inhuman I think it's like just a really cool way to go about storytelling. I am obviously aware that like some people are going to be like, well, he was very obviously inhuman because like he killed his brothers when he was little, and you know, like he is cartoonishly evil, you know, like he kept his mom as a freaking vegetable up in a penthouse for her to be his little doll as he ruled Gotham. And sure, if you want to interpret that as cartoonishly evil, you know, be my guest. I'm not going to tell you that your interpretations are wrong. But I also do think that there is complexity in all those things, right? Like if he were truly evil to me, he would have just killed his mom. Like, I don't know, like I guess killed her for the wrong reasons, right? Or not cared about her at all. Or he would have killed Vic in episode 1, or he would have killed Sophia. I think there's plenty of different things that denote him as complex. And by complex, I simply mean in like a literary sense of there are wants and needs that Oz has, and they're all kind of like at odds with each other. And he's trying to figure out how to get everything he wants without giving up anything. And he eventually turns into a person that we can despise by the end of it. I think those last 2 episodes, and of course everything even prior with the flashbacks, the structuring of the whole show, it was just all phenomenally done. I like this far better than I liked the Batman movie. And I know that the Batman 2 that's coming out at some point is going to be able to reference back to this. And I am now more interested than ever before because Colin Farrell absolutely killed it. As I've said it 1,000 other times, he was really, really, really good. And seeing where this goes and seeing how he does interact with the Batman, because the Batman was not in the show and I loved every second of it because again, it grounded it a bit. Seeing where it goes is at the top of my list for what I'm interested in. We're in an age, I think, of really, really interesting fiction. Maybe a bit of an upswing. You know, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed because who knows at this point. But yeah, if you haven't seen The Penguin, I don't know why you're here. But if you haven't seen it, go watch it because it's just phenomenal. So, all right, guys. See you later.